O guardians of the watchtower of the east, I, Ishtar, high priestess and witch, do summon and stir thee. I command thy presence at this our meeting, to guard over our circle and to witness our rites.
Witchcraft is the fastest growing offshoot of paganism and neo-paganism today. Hundreds of thousands of children and teenagers are joining its ranks according to reports from an ever-increasing number of pagan websites. The Pagan Federation of England claims their mailbags swell by the thousands from charmed teenagers every time a particularly exciting episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer airs on TV, or an enticing article on witchcraft appears in a popular teen magazine. Witchcraft, or Wicca as it is known, believes in revering the mother goddess, the global environment, feminist practices, and nature. The holy reed or rule, do what you want as long as it harms no one, is Wicca's most appealing draw, encouraging its adherents to indulge in self-gratification and self-centeredness, while allowing morals to shift at will. Wicca teaches there is no absolute truth or sin, and replaces the patriarchal male creator god of the Bible with a belief in both male and female gods. Most pagans and witches believe they must communicate with supernatural spirits, which they refer to as forces of nature, in order to receive wisdom and power for magical skills. They also embrace the concept of self-empowerment by awakening internal spirituality through meditation, visualization, and other mind-altering techniques of self-hypnosis. Dimly lit parlors or New Age fairs are no longer the only places to practice secret magic, fortune-telling, spell-casting, or potion mixing. As a result of aggressive marketing campaigns, a wide variety of witchcraft techniques offering powers of control for personal achievements can now be found in bookstores, on the internet, in public schools and libraries, and throughout the media. Hollywood's presentation of witchcraft as exciting and glamorous has further increased its appeal to young audiences. Enhanced by digital technology and revolutionary special effects, occultic spells and rituals are given visually stunning portrayals, as are the depictions of supernatural beings, ghosts, demons, vampires, mythological characters, and even Satan. A growing number of cartoons and television dramas aimed at increasingly younger audiences further seduce children with the allure of sorcery and divination. Occultic themes are frequently woven into the storylines of primetime series, which has undoubtedly contributed to the practice of magic as being the fastest growing mystical attraction among teenagers. The spectacular growth of the internet, which occultists refer to as the portal of transcendence, has further fanned the fascination of spiritual alternatives. An unprecedented amount of occult literature is available online. At Amazon.com, for example, consumers can find more than 1,850 books on witchcraft. And in addition, hundreds of websites are dedicated to marketing witchcraft specifically to children. Pagans and witches worldwide can now communicate and perform ritual magic online through an ever-expanding number of highly networked, occult-oriented chat rooms. Countless websites now offer everything from poison rings to spells for young people seeking empowerment. Each year, thousands of teens are turning their backs on Christianity and joining witches' covens in order to learn spells so as to pass school exams, attract boyfriends or girlfriends, and get rich. The secretary of the Magic Circle's Young Magicians Club credits the Harry Potter books as the latest rage, which he says has rekindled the childlike approach to the fact that the impossible may be possible. He gives thanks to Harry, who he says has sparked an interest in pure magic, real magic, strong magic. Harry Potter, the orphan child wizard, already famous in his own magical world because he survived the murderous black magic death curse of the evil Lord Voldemort, has now duplicated his fame in the real world. Under the category of children's fantasy literature, sales of Harry Potter books have received phenomenal acceptance worldwide, breaking all records in children's literature. With over 100 million books sold in 200 countries, Harry Potter has been translated into more than 40 languages. A massive global marketing campaign, partnered by Warner Brothers, Mattel, and Coca-Cola, guarantees that the Harry Potter image will be kept before the public for years to come through films, toys, video games, and every type of merchandising product imaginable. According to a U.S. Consumer Research Survey, over half of all children between the ages of 6 and 17 have read at least one Harry Potter book, with thousands reporting multiple readings of all of the books. These volumes range anywhere from 309 to 734 pages. While many parents are thrilled by the prospect of their children taking an interest in reading, other parents and educators view Harry Potter as the latest tool being used to disciple children into the darkest aspects of black magic. Through Harry Potter books and audios, children as young as kindergarten age are being introduced to human sacrifice, the sucking of blood from dead animals, and possession by spirit beings. Set in England, the Harry Potter story begins on Halloween night, with the murder of Harry's parents by the evil Lord Voldemort. Through the sacrificial goddess magic of his mother's love, baby Harry is saved, and his blood is given magical powers. Unable to kill Harry in revenge, Voldemort sears a death curse of a lightning bolt on Harry's forehead. In the real world, thousands of young fans demonstrate their allegiance to Harry by taking the mark of the lightning bolt on their own foreheads.
There's no such thing as magic.
Dear Mr. Potter, you have been accepted to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Harry is magically selected to attend the 1,000-year-old Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Both Voldemort and Harry's parents attended the prestigious boarding school before him. All of Hogwarts' teachers are practicing occultists and instruct their students in the proper use of magic tools, spells, and rituals. Headmaster Albus Dumbledore owns a phoenix, the powerful mythological bird, the symbol of resurrection. The magical wands of both Harry and Voldemort share the same power, which is a tail feather from Dumbledore's phoenix. Therefore, in the world of Harry Potter, the power source of Harry's so-called good magic and Voldemort's evil magic is one and the same. The question is, should parents be concerned that the alluring power behind witchcraft is being made to look innocent and is being targeted towards their children through the Harry Potter phenomenon?
I read the first one 8 times, the second one 3 times, and the third one 4 times.
So does the hubbub over Harry Potter seem outlandish, or do parents have a real argument here? Well, joining us now from Columbia, South Carolina is Steve Mounts. He's a parent who has expressed concerns about the book's use at schools. Also joining us is Jennifer James from Watertown, Massachusetts. She is a children's book buyer for Wordsworth Books. All right, Mr. Mounts, let me start with you. These are #1 books on the bestsellers list, winner of the National Book Award in the UK. Kids love them. So what do you find particularly objectionable about these books?
The thing that we found, my wife and I found objectionable, was it was being read aloud to our son in his class. And there were things that we believe had a religious connotation to them: witchcraft, Wicca, which the Supreme Court has now said is a religion. The IRS has given it religious status. The military's got Wicca chaplains. And we just wanted an opportunity to find out, is this religion being taught in our son's class?
Now, you went before the South Carolina Board of Education earlier this week. What are you asking the board to do?
We asked them to review the book for religious content, for violence. In this post-Columbine era that we're living in, we felt like with kids living out their fantasies, this book may have potential for that.
Jennifer James, let me go to you now. What do you like about the Harry Potter books? What value do they have, do you think?
I think they're some of the greatest books written for children. They're full of adventure and fantasy, and every kid loves them.
All right, well, let's take a look at a couple of passages from the book here. This is from Book 1. See what I have become, the face said, mere shadow and vapor. I have form only when I can share another's body. But there have always been those willing to let me into their hearts and minds. Unicorn blood has strengthened me these past weeks. Yikes, unicorn blood? Jennifer, you hear that and you think, well, maybe Mr. Mounts has a point here.
I think it's just fantasy. It's a book, it's not reality, and I think children can make the difference. They can draw the line.
Well, Steve, that's a good point. Don't you think that 4th and 5th graders are smart enough to be able to distinguish? Don't you think your son knows the difference between fantasy and reality?
He'd probably have a hard time finding a unicorn in South Carolina, but most of the time when we have police reports of the occult or witchcraft, it always involves an animal sacrifice. So if they can't find a unicorn, they're perfectly willing to take a dog, a cat, a goat, or anything else they can get their hands on.
Well, Steve, the author says these are moral books, and I want to play some sound from when she was on the Today Show yesterday, if we can roll that. Do we have that?
I made a very conscious decision right at the beginning that I was writing about someone evil, and I wasn't going to tell a lie. I wasn't going to pretend that an evil person is a cardboard cutout and no one really gets hurt. Okay, if you're writing about evil, I think you genuinely have a responsibility to show what that means. And that's why I'm writing them the way I'm writing them. I think they're I think they're very moral books.
Steve Mounts, there seems to be some merit in what she just said. How can you argue with that?
I think the merit in what she said was they are evil books. I think parents can make a decision on whether they want their children to read these books. She was, by the way, responding to a quote that my wife had given before the school board about the books being violent, and I applaud her for saying they were violent. So apparently there's no disagreement on that.
Jennifer James, you are a children's book buyer at the bookstore. Are you finding this to be a real phenomenon at your store, these books?
Yes, we've never seen anything like it. It's unbelievable, and we're all very happy.
Right. Well, what makes you happiest about it? Is it the sales, or is it the fact that kids are really loving to read now?
The children run into the store, want to buy the book, and sit down and start reading it before they leave the store.
Mm.
Robert McGee is the author of The Search for Significance and founder of the Rafa Treatment Centers.
There are those who defend the Harry Potter books by saying they're just fantasy. And so when people object to these books, they're made to look like fools, because the people say, how can you object to these books? They're just fantasy. But that line of reasoning would tell you that you could include in fantasy any violence, pornography, whatever you wanted, and still defend those books by that very same statement.
As an expert in world religions, noted cult and occult researcher Carol Matriciana has authored the best-selling books Gods of the New Age and The Evolution Conspiracy, and has written and produced numerous videos for Jeremiah Films.
Many argue that Harry Potter is just merely children's fantasy, and therefore it's harmless. The lie about this is that witchcraft is reality. J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, has gone through an awful lot of research. She is very accurate, otherwise we would have witches all over the country and the world saying this is not a true representation of our religion. This is a true representation of witchcraft and the black arts and black magic. And yet we have people that say this is merely fantasy and harmless reading for our children. Actually, what makes this more dangerous is that it is couched in fantasy language and children's literature and made to be humorous and beautifully written and extremely provocative reading. And it just opens up children to want to have the next one. This is what is so harmful. Joanne Rowling majored in mythology in Exeter University in England. She has borrowed not only from pagan religions, Celtic religions, the religions of the Druids, witchcraft, Satanism, a lot of the spells, the incantations, the philosophy behind the mythology and the religions is being put into Harry Potter's books. Yes, Harry Potter may be fictional, but there is a lot of religious teaching in symbols that perhaps the reader doesn't always pick out. The actual word Potter, if you ask a pagan, a witch, any knowledgeable expert in the occult or hidden arts, the potter is the female goddess, the goddess of Babylon, who is considered the potter who created human beings from clay. And they believe that the patriarchal God of Christianity, the God of Israel, copied that in a very poor imitation because he cannot give birth. Now listen to how important that is to understand. The feminine-oriented cult of witchcraft sees the woman and her process of birth as fundamental in the new life, the transformation, the alchemy, the changing of the inner man to higher consciousness, which is what Harry Potter is all about. In fact, that's what the first book is called, The Sorcerer's Stone, the alchemy of being transformed and changed through the inner man to become a new creature, which is again an upside down reversal of what a Christian believes, that when they come into understanding a relationship, a personal relationship with Christ, they are transformed and take on the mind of Christ. The concept of fertility-based cults, feminine-oriented cults such as witchcraft, is the concept that the new birth can take place inside through meditation. You have inner transformation, inner wisdom, inner knowledge. And all this is done through concentration, visualization, all through Harry's books. Hermione and others say, concentrate, Harry. If you concentrate hard enough, you can have what you want. One of the arguments is that Harry Potter's series does not actually teach witchcraft, that it is not teaching the concepts of Mother Goddess and her consort, the Horned God, which is essential to the fertility cults or the fertility-oriented witchcraft religion. And yes, there are the concepts of Mother Goddess being taught, because Harry's mother gave her life for Harry. The sacrificial death that she gave through love is a symbolism of goddess worship. It's an inversion, if you will, of God the Father, whose Son gave his life in love for his people. Now, the concept of teaching Mother Goddess is very, very important. Harry's mother gave her life for Harry so that he should be saved. And through this love sacrifice, Harry was protected from death. Now, this concept is brought up several times. In fact, it is so important in witchcraft and pagan thinking that Voldemort, Harry's arch enemy, takes a vial of blood from Harry in book number 4 in order to have the blood run through his own veins in order that he can be resurrected and have a body. That is how powerful the blood sacrifice is. Another scary aspect of black magic is shape changing. The concept of being able to become an animal, change into an animal. Harry's father appears to Harry in a shape change later on. Even though he's dead, he appears as a stag, the Horned God. So here we have the concept that shape changing is very normal. It is horrible. And the Bible clearly says that we are made as human beings when God created us, and we cannot become something else. You might perceive you're becoming something else, but it's supernatural deception. The evil Lord Voldemort also went to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with Harry's parents. And we're not awfully sure what the reasons are, but for perhaps jealousy, because Harry's parents represented practicing the white side or the good side of magic. Voldemort, at the birth of Harry, wanted to kill Harry and Harry's parents. But somehow in this horrible battle, some of Voldemort's powers came to Harry, and Harry got a death curse, a bolt of lightning, on his forehead as a mark of the curse from Voldemort. Also, another interesting thing happened. Harry also acquired a power that he was able to talk to snakes, which is the same gift that the evil Lord Voldemort has. There is a connection with the talking snakes. Voldemort always represented as a snake, and by the way, both of them, Harry and Voldemort, share the power of the phoenix tail in their wand, and the phoenix, again, is a symbol of resurrection. Witchcraft is a religion. It gets tax-exempt status. It has a military chaplain. It is recognized as a religion, a practicing religion. It is the fastest growing religion in America, incidentally, as well.
I regard myself as a natural witch. I was regarded myself as a witch since early childhood. I was brought up in a very isolated part of the country, on the Welsh border, which has a long tradition of magic and Welsh sorcerers.
Since I have been practicing the craft, there has been a great revival. There are probably now as many people practicing witchcraft as there are Christians.
It's almost as if there's a kind of grassroots feeling back towards paganism. We live in a kind of post-Christian era almost, and that people are moving towards a kind of neo-paganism, I suppose.
Witchcraft is the religion of the countryside. It's the religion of very old forms of knowledge. And paganism is a religion which is a very old form of knowledge too. But paganism covers more than witchcraft covers. Witchcraft is, if you like, a division of paganism.
Well, witchcraft is basically a nature religion. We worship the gods of the woods and the fields.
Those who practice witchcraft choose to believe there is no Satan and therefore no evil spirits. Yet they report experiencing spiritual powers from which they receive their power. Refusing to label these powers evil, they choose to believe their origin is either from nature or natural from within, but neutral.
When I was a child, I was very aware of nature spirits, those which are called diva or local gods.
We learn as practicing witches to tap into forces of nature and to actually, if you like, send out a spell or an invocation in a very powerful way.
The primary offer of witchcraft is power, a very seductive power. One day, a young 18-year-old girl came to see me. Her life was almost ruined by her preoccupation with witchcraft, but she would not give that power up because it was the only power in her life that she could count on. Another young man came to see me and said, "I know how powerful these forces are, and I look at the lives of Christians, and I think my power is more powerful than what they're experiencing." One of the most disturbing things about the Harry Potter books is it teaches children that witchcraft is for children. It does this by allowing children to read about other children in a school setting and watching these children learn how to use spells and all the other elements of witchcraft. It teaches these children that witchcraft is just not for adults, but that children can access this power and use this power also. If you say there is no real power in witchcraft, then you should have no problem with the Harry Potter books. But there are two problems with your line of reasoning. First of all, you're denying the experience of hundreds of thousands of people who have practiced witchcraft through the ages. Plus, you're saying that God's warning in the Bible about divination, sorcery, and all the elements of witchcraft is actually worthless.
In Deuteronomy chapter 18, it states, "There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee." In 1 Samuel chapter 15, God identifies witchcraft as a sin, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
Despite God's warning, many youth, including Christian youth, don't see much harm in witchcraft. So they see their friends casting spells and being involved in all manner of witchcraft and do not understand the dangers. They do not know that they're opening doors in their life to spirits which will come in and create very compulsive behaviors. And this is why many in witchcraft are compulsively into drug usage and to sexual activity and all manner of conduct which is very destructive. And yet, why should they be concerned when they hear nothing from the adults that warn them of what's coming? When a child is captured by witchcraft, they rarely choose to get out until very much later in their life, after they have lived a very miserable existence.
The giant introduces Harry to the paraphernalia of witchcraft that Harry is going to now use in his boarding school, Hogwarts. And this is done in Diagon Alley, which is a sort of spiritual, occult supermarket, flea market, if you will, a street filled with shops of cauldrons, owls, robes, wands, all the paraphernalia that is used today by witches in their rituals and ceremonies and spells today. So the reader is vicariously introduced to the tools of the trade that form the basis of the religion of witchcraft. Many have argued that Joanne Rowling is not teaching the children witchcraft and the books are not about witchcraft because the spells aren't legitimate spells and because J.K. Rowling just pulls out very, very funny Latin words, and she obviously knows her Latin, and she's very humorous with the way that she tosses out expelloramus, which gets rid of a spell, or any of the other numbers of spells that she puts in Latin.
Petrificus totalis.
The principle is that if you learn certain words, you can have power. And the books, the Harry Potter series, are connected to websites that get you into arenas where there are experts at teaching you the spells, the legitimate spells. What the reader is being introduced into in Harry is that there is legitimacy in rituals and spells, which are a sort of another word, let's say, of repetitive prayers, as Jesus said in Matthew, that don't be like the Gentiles and the pagans that just repeat their prayers for what they want.
Queen of heaven, Queen of hell, horned hunter of the night, lend your power unto our spell, and work our will by magic right.
This is what spells are, repetitive prayer, which sort of induces a self-hypnosis that gives you the idea that your inner potential power, your psychic abilities, can bring about what you are visualizing in your head. While love spells probably isn't the focus of Harry's books right at the moment, because he's 11, 12, 13. In book 4, there is a sort of beginning of a relationship that Harry is involved in, a sort of affectionate opposite sex thing. But love spells are very, very, very important in witchcraft. In fact, because it is a fertility cult, the concept, the focus in on sex and cosmic union for power is one of the important aspects of witchcraft. So it is no wonder that many, many teenagers are being lured into witchcraft through, in a sense, the magic of love. They want the boy they want, or they want the girl they want, and so they get involved in spells. And the websites are also pushing the fact of teaching children love spells.
As above, so below.
Then, of course, Hollywood glamorizes the whole concept, and through this film, The Craft, you can see that here where the girl wants to have her boy, she gets involved in this ceremony, very powerful ceremony, calling down the love spirits, and of course she gets the boy she wants, and he doesn't know what is happening and why he is being seduced in a sense through his spirit, how this happened, but there it is again, showing that spells work.
I drink of my sisters, and I ask to love myself more and to allow myself to be loved more by others, especially Chris Hooker. I know, it's pathetic.
Definitely pathetic. Well, it's just that, you know, I can't stop thinking about you, and I don't know why, but I think I love you. And I've never loved anyone before, except, well, maybe my mom, and well, this little puppy that I had when I was little.
I think you should go home, Chris.
No, Sarah, wait, please, Sarah, please. Look, I don't know what's happening to me. I can't eat. I can't sleep.
Can I help you?
No, nobody can help me.